Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. A quote by Rumi. So this quote invites us to shift our energy inward, not in retreat, but in empowerment. Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. I find that I fall into this, oh, I'm here for a reason and I have the responsibility to change the world. And that is such a huge weight to put on my own shoulders, so much pressure. But if I rephrase that to I am wise and I'm changing myself, which is more wiser, that is kind of like changing the world because if we all thought that way, if we all worked on ourselves for emotional intelligence, emotional maturity, healing, balance, peace, if we all did that, then the world would be a better place. We would make better, more sustainable, more loving, compassionate choices. And if we all worked on ourselves, that energy would inevitably ripple out from the very core of us. And often I get annoyed when people say, it's not my problem. It's not my problem. What you're telling me about animals, about animal cruelty, about the world, about what that person's done, it's not my problem. And then I explain, well, in an indirect way, it is your problem because this could happen to you or your child, or, we need to be aware of these things because we can't trust everyone, not even our children's teachers, for example. So this isn't to impose fear onto anyone, it's to be realistic because not everyone is working on themselves or has healed from their traumas or has come to a point where they are able to offer healing from that authentic and balanced place from their heart. And not everyone is aligned with the highest good. But then the it's not my business, it's not my problem statement that I receive from others also follows up with a statement saying, I can't do anything about it. It's out of my control. There's nothing I can do, which fair enough. We are set up in a system where it kind of is looking like it has to come from the higher ups, which is a shame because those people that are higher up seem to abuse their power. So there's some thoughts, some things to think about there. So the it's not my problem, can't do anything about it, it's not my business, I'm just going to carry on with my life and be ignorant to it in a way. Ignorance is bliss. But then I read a chapter by Rebecca Campbell in her book Letters to a Starseed, and the chapter was titled It's None of Your Business. And in this chapter, she writes about essentially letting go of the pressure to carry the whole world's weight on your shoulders to change the world around you, to change other people's beliefs. Because essentially that's their path they're on. And they, in time, will come to some understanding, or maybe they won't. That's their journey. And by interfering with their journey when they're not ready, stagnates and frustrates us as individuals and also blocks them in their path because maybe we're passionate about a subject, say veganism, for example, and then we're projecting our beliefs around that onto someone who really isn't vegan or can't make the connection between what they're eating and what it is. And in time, maybe they will see, or maybe they won't. And I guess it's not your job to fix everything or impose beliefs onto others. It's your job to come home to yourself again and again. Because when you're rooted in your truth, your presence becomes the medicine. It's your job to come home to yourself again and again. Because when you're rooted in your truth, your presence becomes the medicine. And when we impose our beliefs onto others, sometimes it can come across as like as though we're attacking that person, and then defensiveness happens. And then more fire is created with that fire, and then it blows out of proportion. Whereas if we shared from a place of peace, maybe that would ripple out in a different way, in a more efficient way. And this is, I guess, where the yogic principle of ahimsa or non-violence comes in. So, ahimsa isn't just about avoiding harm to others, other beings. It's about being deeply kind to yourself as well, deeply non-violent to yourself, including the thoughts that we have of ourselves, which also falls under the category of violence towards ourselves. It means, so ahimsa, it means breaking the cycles of self-criticism, shame, and burnout. When would we ever put the amount of pressure that we do on ourselves to our loved ones? And is that integral if we do so? If we try to control others by burning them out and saying horrible things, imposing or projecting shame, or talking to them as you would to yourself in a negative way. When would we ever do that? And why is it okay if when we speak to ourselves like that? Because isn't that a form of self-destruction as well? Of self-harm, of violence towards the self? So healing in itself, it's not selfish, it's sacred. Because every time you choose compassion over judgment towards yourself, and in turn others as well, because that will feed into your relationships. Every time we choose rest over hustle and authenticity over conformity, we model a different way of being, and that's powerful. That's very powerful. So the work we do to heal ourselves truly matters in the grand scheme of things. In fact, it might be one of the most radical forms of resistance, cultivating peace in a world that often thrives on or promotes disconnection. So, this inner peace gives us the clarity and courage to challenge injustice. This inner peace. that we can cultivate and develop this skill of inner peace gives us the clarity and courage to challenge injustice, follow our passions, and speak up with integrity, with balance, and from a place of ease and peace, so that we are not projecting any low vibrational feelings onto others, creating more fire, more confusion with disconnects. So those things and more any more low vibrational frequencies that we add to the mix just makes this elixir of poison in a way. But when we're working on ourselves from doing the work to heal what needs to be healed and work through, when we do that, that essentially the right people or the at the right time, the truth that people want to align with will be heard and you will make a difference. And it starts with you. So it may not be any of our business. Of course, it may feel that way when there's so much going on, so much hatred, so much injustice. We can do our part. We can go to protests, we can share our beliefs. But when we try to change or control others, more so in a less political way, I think, because politics is questionable and the systems that are encoded into our society are questionable. But I'm talking about more everyday relationships that we come across. So, yeah, even if we can't change the world overnight, we must not let the world change us into something we're not. So that's the message there, to stay true to yourself. So be your authentic self, stay true to what lights you up and lights the world around you up as well. And your alignment serves the highest good. So change is inevitable, but staying aligned with who you really are is a choice you can make every day. Staying aligned with who you really are is a choice you can make every day. Yesterday, I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today, I am wise, so I am changing myself.